Good morning. This is it. The final week of Maine's deer hunting. Second week of the muzzleloader hunt. December 7th, I believe today is. And winter is officially here. We had a little bit of a snowstorm roll in yesterday. It's below freezing. It's windy. I was out getting the truck ready and putting everything in it this morning, and it felt like I should be going ice fishing, not deer hunting, but finally getting the right weather. I'm gonna head into where I saw all those does the last day of rifle season, which was about a little over a week ago now. I think that's where my does kind of want to be. So this time of year, post-rut type activity, I'm hoping maybe one of those fawns or younger does comes in to estrus and the bucks are all around there. So that's the plan. Dad's coming down eventually today. He's gonna haul the camper, put it down where we're gonna put the house eventually, and we'll have that there for a couple of years. So he's off all week, I'm off all week. Hopefully we can show you a dead deer.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
All set up back in where I saw those does. I'm literally just getting set up, so I'm running a little bit behind, but got the old CVA in my hand. And yeah, I didn't cut a ton of tracks. I don't think they moved a lot last night. Some does, doe and a lamb, a doe, maybe a buck. Went off that way early evening last night because there was some snow in their tracks. Nothing worth really getting on and chasing though. It wasn't like a full definition, like definitely a big buck. So decided to stick with the plan and come down into here. A lot of coyote tracks running around, but yeah, we'll see. Beautiful morning. It's winter time already. Well, it's only 8 o'clock right now. It's really cold, really windy. The snow's really crunchy, but I think I'm gonna bail on the sit. I didn't give it a whole lot of time, obviously, but I really have been looking forward to getting some snow on the ground to jump on a deer track, and this is the first chance I've had to do that this year, so I don't have the intentions really to like physically track one and shoot them today, but my intention and goal is just to get on a decent buck track if I can find one and follow him, even if it's a little bit older, snowed in track, just to see how he's using this terrain, because we're getting closer to figuring this piece of property out, but it's still our first year, so we still have a ton to learn, and we don't really know exactly how the deer are using it. So the trail cameras have helped, our sits have kind of helped, but nothing's going to help more than getting on actual deer tracks or trails and following them and figuring out how they're actually using the terrain to get around in here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It's windy, which is going to help cover the crunchiness of the snow. The snow itself isn't crunchy, but the leaves haven't been compacted yet. So you step and you're stepping on a little bit crusty of a layer of snow and then fluffy, crunchy, frozen leaves. So like I said, it's 8:15. I'm going to take a different route out, kind of get on this trail, follow it, check a spot I call a little T-loss, and then check the cedar camera. And then I'm pretty sure I'll have that doe and lamb track I saw this morning on those. And then I'll go to the truck, I'll ditch a bunch of stuff, reevaluate what I need to bring for gear, and then probably head into the woods, track a deer, and shoot him in his bed at 15 yards. Why not? another thing I should have done, and I don't get to, I've been lucky, I haven't had to hunt with a muzzleloader very often, but one thing I wanted to do last night was throw a piece of electrical tape over the end of my muzzle so snow doesn't get down in there and get my powder wet. If you're gonna hunt with a muzzleloader, try to keep your breech protected under your arm or whatever. If you have bad weather, and throw some sort of tape over the end, maybe even a couple extra strips around the barrel. Just really want to try to keep that powder, since it's not in a casing, keep that powder dry. There's a deer track right here. Small deer. Doe. Probably doe or fawn. But it's not being pretty decent. Well, I should have a picture of it as long as this camera didn't die from the cold weather, but young deer, probably not even 100 pounds, so definitely a fawn. See a real short stride. There's not a big gap from track to track as far as this way goes. And its width between its tracks are only probably 1.5 to 2 inches, so young. Not a long deer, not a wide deer. And obviously little tracks, but it's a bigger track coming out right here. Might be mama. Could be a buck. I would have to say it's mom. It's big enough that it could be a 1-year-old or 2-year-old buck. But this is getting up into the area that right up in here is where I typically see a doe and a lamb, so I'd have to imagine that's their tracks. Another thing this time of year, too, to keep in mind is December 7th. 2 weeks ago, I saw a harem of does, which tells me the deer are starting to push and get into small winter groups. This time of year, if you see a deer, there's a very good chance that you're in a group of deer. So just move real slow, really scan everything over really good. Because if you see a doe here, there could be a buck standing right there, just staring at you. So you got that going for you this time of year, but they're going to start pushing into their wintering areas if you know where that is. I currently don't know exactly where that is out here. I have an idea just based on past knowledge of terrain. But you also have a post rut, those younger does and fawns that are going to come into estrus later, have their estrus cycle later in the year. So if you have a group of does, you could go from nothing, no tracks, no anything, to just chaos in literally seconds. So that's why it's such a fun time to be out, because if you're in them, you're in them. Alright, finally found a buck track. It's not a huge track, but it's a buck. It's frozen. So last night, but after it froze. So first buck track I've come across. I'm going to jump on him and follow him, see where he takes me. Well, I can't decipher what's going on. I think it was a buck with a doe and a lamb. And the buck was going this way. The doe and lamb came this way. He hooked back and got with them, and now they're going this way, which I'm pretty much getting pretty close to off my property at this point. So, and there's not a whole lot of huntable timber that way, so I'm climbing, going on the ridge, following up on the ridge. Cut one more track, but again, just heading in the direction I'm not really all that interested in going. Not that big of a track, but all these coyote tracks around here, right here. A little bugger. They didn't even eat them. Anybody that's watching, diehard coyote trappers, contact me in the comments below. I will give you free range to this place to trap coyotes for me. I got a pile of them. And bobcats. And Fisher and Martin, but I would prefer coyotes be addressed first. Alright, what time is it right now? It's 11 o'clock. And I'm on one. I really can't tell how long ago come through. But he's got a pretty good stride. He's not real wide left and right. His gap, I mean, there's one track, I'm standing on one track, and then there's another track, so he's got a good stride. Cutting coyote tracks on top of the coyote tracks. And he's melted through, which tells me it's probably this morning, because judging by my tracks when I went back earlier were melted through a little bit, so let's say super early morning, maybe 3-4 o'clock. So I'm far behind him, but you can see too, see how there's snow still on the limbs, but there isn't on this one. There isn't on here. So it's definitely after the bulk of the snow. I'm just gonna follow him and see where he takes me, just for fun. Alright, we just got hooked up with another deer. This is the original track I took right here. And this is another one, a little bit bigger, about the same time frame. Both going with each other. Got a rub right here. And a scrape right here. Which, that's still green. So I'm definitely, I'm hours behind them. A little bit of a pond right here. But with this weather, they might have laid down. I might be able to catch them. I might grunt as I go as well, because I would assume this is either a buck just got with a doe or a buck, 2 bucks. So if they separate, I'm going to follow the biggest one, obviously. But for the time being, they're traveling together, which is nice. These 2 deer just split up. Give you a good look at its track. It's not monstrous, but a good, a little bit wider than 3 fingers. Not a 200-pound deer, 160 pounds probably. But the bigger of the 2, and they just split up. I don't know if it's if it was 2 bucks, a 1.5-year-old and a 2-year-old, or a doe and a buck, but he split off anyway. I don't know if he's going to loop back around and get with that other deer, or if he's going to bed. My hope is that he's going to lay down. Well, a good spot, I could see him if he was standing there, but he's not standing there, so we'll keep moving. Set up for the evening. Did not catch up to that buck earlier, but I kind of knew I wasn't going to. I was 4 or 5 hours behind him anyway, so I ended up leaving him and coming back for lunch and just met up with Dad. He's got the camper getting set up now. I decided to come into a spot I call Little Telos this afternoon. Last week I had, on this mock scrape I have here, I had 4 shooters in here. Mr. Clean came back. He's got a bum leg. There's another buck, pretty much a little bit bigger, but almost identical to him. That's got a broken beam on one side. High 6, and another buck I didn't really recognize right off the bat. Haven't sat here yet this year. I'm not super excited and thrilled with my setup, but I did have a doe and a lamb walk through here during daylight yesterday evening, so they popped out right here, so it's going to be up close and personal, they're gonna pop up over the hill and be right in my face. So if it happens, it's gonna happen fast. But not sure what Dad's doing tonight, but yeah, we'll see. Well, that's a wrap for the day. Really good day. I just had a deer come in on me, actually. It's probably right at legal. Shooting 429's illegal, but clear sky and snow on the ground is still kind of bright out, but I don't know what it was. It came, I'm sitting up on top of the knoll and it drops off pretty good to my right ear. I could just hear it crunching in the snow. I grunted at it, didn't do much. Doe bleated at it, didn't do anything. I could hear it working its way this way, and there's a twitch trail, and I figured if I could get to that twitch trail and see, it might be standing there, but it's just so dark. It was probably about 4:20 to 4, probably right around 4:20. So I could hear it walking this way. I knew it was kind of open back down in here. I don't think I would have been able to see antlers looking down in that bottom anyway, but I got over to there and I doe bleated once, and then just as I come out to where I could kind of see it, put his tail up and bounded off. I don't know what it was, didn't blow, but it didn't really show much curiosity in the calls either, so probably a doe, but could have been a great big deer too. But yeah, day one, muzzleloader season. I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, but we're around them, so wish me luck. Hope you guys liked the video. Like I said earlier, I have a coyote problem. Anybody that wants to trap coyotes, let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Oh my God, I saw that massive rack.
Did you really?
Yes,
I just killed him.
Oh my God.
I just freaking killed. I just killed high 6, Dad.